to Black Alert. In this quick tutorial, we're going to learn how to create S3 bucket module via Terraform to automate how we create S3 buckets in AWS. This is not going to take long. We can create the module, hoping that we can create and delete S3 buckets within seconds, instead of going to the console, spend some time in order to create and delete S3 buckets from AWS. First of all, I'm gonna head to the documentation. As you know, we're gonna say Terraform AWS provider. Now, this is the source of truth. This is the source for all the resources that we're gonna create. It is the documentation, and from here we will create the module that we are planning to do. So after we head to the documentation, we're gonna start a new project. Use your preferred IDE. For me, I do like JetBrains products, but feel free to do whatever you like to use. If you like VS Code, that's fine. If you wanna use AI IDEs like Windsurf, that's 100% fine. But for now, I'm just gonna go with JetBrains IntelliJ. This is a Black Alert S3 Module demo. I'm gonna create that. This is an empty project, so our first start is to create a directory. I'm gonna call this modules, and in the modules we're gonna create a new directory. We're gonna call it S3. We will start now by creating the module. So before we head to create the module, let's just initialize Terraform. Let's create a main.tf file where we do initialize the provider. So for just simplicity and not wasting time, I'm gonna just copy paste the code. In here we're gonna go with me central 1. This is the basic initialization for Terraform. What we are trying to do here is we are initializing Terraform, and we are telling Terraform to use AWS. This is the provider creator, which is HashiCorp, and the version that we intend to use. Please notice that this is telling Terraform that we're gonna go with the most recent version. So now we have this, we have the provider. In my case, I do have multiple Terraform, multiple AWS profiles, because I'm managing multiple AWS accounts. So I need a way to tell Terraform where this resources gonna go to which AWS account. For that sake, let me just check what accounts I have. AWS credentials. So as you can see, I have many. Let me go with Black Alert. So you can just go to the provider and pass the profile name as BA. Now we're ready to check. So for now, it is downloading the provider. It's gonna take a while. Not too much, but it's gonna take some time. Please notice that we did tell it here to use the most recent version in this line of code. And if you check the terminal, the current version is 5.82.2. So next time when you run Terraform initialize, it will try to look for the newest version. It's gonna download the new one, and it's gonna use it. In the meanwhile, let's go there and create the S3 module. So we can do main.tf variables.tf main.tf. So main.tf is where the module code is gonna go. Outputs.tf is all the variables that we're gonna export from the module. Variables.tf will contain all the dynamic variables or the values that we're gonna pass to the module. Let's head back here and let's type in the search S3, and as you can see, this is the S3. How we can do that? We can click on S3 bucket and get the information on how to create a bucket. So again, I'm just gonna copy paste and modify. We will head to main.tf and we're gonna replace this with var.bucket name. Again, this is a value that we're gonna pass to the module. So it's gonna be a variable bucket name, type is string. It doesn't have a default value because each time we create a bucket we need a bucket name. For tags, we can pass the bucket name here, var.bucket name, and we can say this is storage. For the environment, it's up to you how to manage the environments, but this is an off topic. We will talk about this later on. So now we have the bucket created and we pass in the bucket name. For each bucket, we need to do ownership control, and we need to do versioning, and we need to do encryption. So I'm gonna copy this one, the ownership, gonna call it this. This refers to that this is a module, and we're gonna reference the bucket that we just created here, and the object ownership. This will define how you are accessing that S3 bucket. For some buckets, there are some buckets connected to CloudFront for website hosting, for static website hosting. There are buckets for storing logs. There are buckets for storing files. There are buckets for multiple usages. So the ownership will define how the resources in AWS or outside AWS will have access to the bucket. And the ownership means that this bucket is owned by the AWS account that we have. Now let's go to policy, not policy, the bucket versioning, ACL and versioning. ACL will define how this bucket is used. This is private. You can go for public, you can go for private, or whatever the case is. This is the versioning. Versioning means that the bucket will be backed up automatically. Means that AWS will handle upgrading the bucket, back up the bucket for you, and everything that is keep the data safe in that S3 bucket in AWS. Now we need the encryption, server-side encryption. There are multiple ways to do encryption here. You can just go with a KMS key. So this is the key. KMS is keys managed by AWS for encryption. This is an off topic as well, but let's just keep it as it is. So we're gonna pass the key in here, and the algorithm is AWS KMS key, which is the encryption key, and that's it. So for now, I guess we do have the module ready. We can go beyond this. We can define course configuration for a bucket to host S3 static website. We can go for private or public access, but for the sake of simplicity, we're gonna just keep this as it is for now. What we can extract from here, we can define an output variable, and we can extract the bucket name, which is the bucket ID. For that sake, we're gonna go with S3 bucket and ID. This will give us the bucket name. We can do as well the bucket ARN. Sometimes you do need the bucket ARN, so we can do the following, this and ARN. So a quick recap. We did create a bucket, we did an ownership, we did an ACL, defines how we access the bucket, we did a bucket versioning for backup and for backup the content, and we did a server-side encryption for security reasons. For that sake, we did use a KMS key. How we can create these, how we can use this module to create storages. Let's go there and let's define a storage.tf file. For that sake, we can go with module. Let's say this is a logs bucket, for example. In here, we will call the module directory and we will call S3. Let's do a Terraform initialize once more, so Terraform and IntelliJ can recognize what do we need to make this works. So if you click options and enter on your Mac, you can add the properties. Please note that the bucket name is what we have defined here in the variables. So for example, if we want to pass KMS keys, if we want to pass the access level or the ACL for the bucket, the environment, we can just go with a new variable that we define there. For example, we can just go and delete this, and we can go with ACL. In variables, we have to define a variable called ACL. The type of it is string. We can give it a default value as private. What default means that this variable will always have the private value unless you decide to change it. So the bucket will have a private access, for example, by default, but if we decided to go with public access, we can just pass the variable ACL when we create a module in here. So how that is useful? It is useful in two ways. Sometimes you want to create a private bucket, and sometimes you want to create a public bucket. Our module in such case will be dynamic and highly customizable. How is that? Because the same code will work for creating buckets in public mode and in private mode. Please note, when we define a default value to a variable in a module, means that we don't have to pass it when we create an instance of that module. But if let's comment this for a second and let's go to storage. As you can see, it is complaining now because missing required properties ACL, because we haven't defined the default variable. But if we roll back to default, means that the storage and the module can work without that bucket because it has a default value. Anyways, let's say this is black alert logs 1 logs example. This is the bucket name and ACL. If we pass private in here, it's gonna be the same, so I'm just gonna comment this and give it a public value in case you want to do a public. Now back to the comment, we can do Terraform initialize, and we can do Terraform plan to plan our infrastructure. As you can see, new files have been created here, Terraform log and the Terraform directory. This is where our Terraform state is stored. The Terraform state is the files where Terraform is keep tracking your infrastructure. Doesn't matter if it's AWS, GCP, Azure, or a private or a bare metals or DigitalOcean, Linode, whatever the cloud provider is. This is where it stores the information about what you are using in your cloud, and keep tracking of that. Coming back to the terminal, as you can see, this is a plan. A plan means that we're gonna see what will be applied to the system or what will be applied to the cloud without applying it. For example, in this plan, there is a KMS key, there is an S3 bucket, there is an ACL for that bucket, an ownership control, a server-side encryption, and a bucket versioning. To apply this, we have to run the following command: Terraform apply. Then we will see the plan, and the command line will wait for us to approve it. I'm going to show you that. Or we can pass an inline parameter, or we can, as you can see, enter value. Do you want a yes or no? No, it's cancelled. Or you can pass a parameter called auto approve, and that will approve the creation for you. As you may notice, now it is creating the S3 bucket in AWS following the plan. The bucket doesn't allow ACL. We're gonna have to see that. I am to refer back to the documentation to see what's wrong in here with the ACL. So in here we are using a bucket ownership preferred and an ACL. So it says objects upload to the bucket change ownership to the bucket owner if the objects are uploaded with the bucket owner full control. Can't ACL means that we either remove the ACL from here and change this to bucket owner in forest, and this is gonna work. Let's run the command again. So Terraform keep tracking things, as we mentioned, means that the previous step has already applied some information for you. What was left is the ownership controls of the bucket. So if you compare the first one, the first apply, you'll notice that 6 to add, 0 to change, 0 to destroy. Since we apply them and Terraform keep tracking of your buckets or of your infrastructure in AWS, means that there is only one to change in the next iteration. Now, that said, we do have a bucket. Let's do a new bucket using the same module. Let's call it stream logs bucket. Again, module S3, and we need the bucket name. Alert stream logs example. Now, Terraform initialize. You can either go with Terraform plan or just Terraform apply. There is no need for plan unless you want to see what's actually gonna be applied to your infrastructure. Terraform apply, auto approve. As you can see, it is refreshing. 5 to add, and this is going to be a new bucket in our AWS account. Let's head to, we can see the buckets. Let me log into the account. As you can, your AWS account, and will create things for you, and you can see the buckets. So we have black alert logs example, and we have black alert stream logs example, and both are in the Middle East. How to remove them? Simple. We can do Terraform apply a flag dash destroy. Again, we can go with auto approve to approve it, or just type yes when we see what's gonna apply to our infrastructure. As you can see, we have 10 things to destroy, and boom, that's done. Let's refresh again here. We have 5 buckets before, now we have 0 buckets. If you like the content, please follow, subscribe, share this video with the people that might be interested, and if you need any consultation, AWS consultation or Terraform code, please don't hesitate to follow up and chat with us. We do have all the contact information in the description box. Thank you for watching. Have a good time.